So we all do social kick like this, and we do social kick in the pool, like freestyle kick. But you spend so much time underwater. So do you do social kick underwater?
No, but we have this thing where I don't know who made it up, but we were doing it the other day, I think last week, where we play rock, paper, scissors underwater. And if you win, you get to go up and breathe. And then you come back down. So I think it was like Zach Harding. Of course it was him. Like he's just so all over the place. And he was doing it with one of our other teammates. And I was like, what's happening? So then I went underwater with them and we were just doing like between three people, rock, paper, scissors. And then if you win, you got to breathe.
All right, let's do it now. Everybody hold their breath. Ready? Hold your breath. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Welcome to the Social Kick Podcast. I'm Brian Lundquist. We got a full crew: Dr. John Mullen, Luke Paddington, and Taper Time, Nick Albiero. What's up, Nick?
Yes, what's up? Thank you guys for having me.
Good to see you, man. So we were just talking before we started on the ups and downs and the ups and the downs of come up, come down. You just had NCAAs. I'm sure you had to build back up a little bit and obviously transition your mind frame and your body to long course. So just give us the update. What's going on? Where are you at right now?
Yeah, I don't know if my body even knows what's happening. Just, after training trip, we really grinded during that time. And then we went down a little bit and then we went back up a lot. And because we had a little bit more time this year between conference and NCAA. So that was a nice chunk of time where we got to have an extra week to build and then go back down and then go try to get back up in this short amount of time. And so now my body's just confused. It's like, are we racing yet? Are we not? So I'm excited just to go next week.
How did that first set of pace 50s feel in the big pool?
Yeah, it hurt. I love short course. That's like my thing. That's where I started is short course, and short course season is so much longer than long course. So anytime we switch over, it's like, all right, I kind of forgot how to do this, and it's definitely a lot longer and more painful for fly. And I do enjoy aerobic freestyle sets long course. I will say that I enjoy freestyle aerobic sets long course, but for pace and stuff, wow, I consider it a different sport.
Yeah, I'd love to hear you just touch. I think people would find it interesting that aren't familiar with double or triple tapers. I'm assuming you brought it down for conference as well a little bit based off of the times. Maybe talk us through kind of what the volume and practice amount and frequencies like going down and going up and things like that at Louisville.
Yeah, so I usually tend to front load the season with sort of more IM, not distance, but sort of IM stroke. And then once we kind of switch over to the next semester to championship season, I'm more sprint focused. And after ACCs, like I said, we had a little bit extra time. So we hit the weight room, we pumped up the volume for about 2 weeks and then just slowly brought it down. It wasn't anything like a drop taper, but the taper for NCAAs is definitely way more fun than the taper for ACCs.
Yeah, so I'm curious, when you talk about looking at the season outlook and you've got ACCs and NCs, you've got a little longer break, you said before, in between ACCs and NCs this year. And then you have this third meet coming up and you go into that kind of the springtime knowing that, okay, we got kind of 3 tapers. I'm sure you try to get the best you can out of ACCs, but actually you were really fast at ACCs this year too. So I'm just curious about how that multi-step, especially with NCs, you're kind of 2 steps into it now. How did the taper from ACCs affect your taper for NCs? And how does what you did at those 2 affect what you're doing, come this week?
What a loaded question. I don't know. There's nothing new. I usually tend to drop a little bit for conference and then go and improve at NCs. And I think we saved a little bit there for NCs. So yes, it was like a taper, but I even just said the taper for NCs is more fun because it's longer and it's more focused individually. But I mean, the results are how it played out. And now it's like, I don't even know where my body is. And I think it's just ready to race. And I have to forget how it feels because it doesn't feel good every day. It hasn't felt good. I'm not going to say it hasn't felt good all the time, but it definitely feels worse than better most of the time. So I kind of just have to brush that off. But yeah, it's an interesting. I remember we kind of had a similar situation. Oh my gosh, a similar situation last summer with trials, and there was a little bit more time there. But I think we've known that these meets were back to back to back, and we sort of focused on NCs a little bit more taper wise, and now those two meets are done, so it's the focus is next week.
You had a comment on your Instagram saying thank you, Louisville for 5 amazing years, and people don't understand how brutal 5th year is. You're one of the first batch of 5th years to be swimming. Talk about that. What do you mean it was brutal?
Yeah, the whole year, people don't talk about that. I mean, 5th year wasn't really a huge thing until the pandemic. Like, if you would have told me that I was going to swim for 5 years for the college team before I even got here, I would have been like, why? Like, that's so weird. Why would I swim for 5 years? And then once the pandemic started, like, I considered redshirting a year and just trying to fully maximize my NCAA eligibility. But I just remember when the season picked back up after the summer, and the first 6 weeks was brutal. And my body, I don't know if it was just more mentally or physically demanding, but it took me about 6 weeks to actually get to a point where I was like, okay, like I'm back to where I was. And I don't know if it was just my mentality saying like, oh, my 5th year, it's so much harder and I'm older now. My body is like, I'm aching, I'm 80 years old, and like all that stuff. And then you add on, I'm in an MBA program. So I'm doing a full-time MBA. I'm getting an MBA in 1 year, and I have no experience in the business world. I got my undergrad in exercise science, and so to jump into a 1 year full-time MBA program where I'm in class 3 times a week for 3.5 hours at night, like that's brutal. And yes, it helps where I'm not in class during the day, so I can kind of focus on, all right, I want a nap, or I want to plan out my meals or whatever. But then it's that Monday, Wednesday, Friday nights where I'm just sitting down for 3.5 hours trying to learn and take tests and do presentations on stuff that I have never even learned. And then you add that in with the swimming and the training and recovery and social life, like it's brutal. And I don't think I really knew what I was getting into when I signed up for it, but I will say it was the best decision I've ever made. I have loved what I was able to do this past year, some of the barriers that I was able to break that I had on my goal sheet last year, and the people that I've been able to meet and the freshmen that I've been able to help and all that stuff. So yeah, it was brutal, but it was worth it. And some things didn't go my way, but that's just how life is. And I'm very grateful for the university and to my teammates and coaches.
I swam in Canada, and in Canada you get 5 years to swim in college, and so I swam a 5th year. I did grad school, and I can relate big time to you because I thought the school was so much more demanding, this brain wise and tiredness wise. I also had issues I felt like the old man in the team. I didn't relate to the team as much. I found myself like not hanging out with the team, bonding, because 5 years, an 18-year-old and a 23-year-old is a big difference back then. So yeah, my swimming did plateau, and I felt it as well. And I'm glad to hear you're focusing on some of the positives. But were there anybody else in your boat, your age, who you can relate to? You had another 5th year at all?
Yeah. There's a few 5th years. Morgan Friesen, she is actually in the MBA program with me, along with my roommate from freshman year. His name is Nikos. He's from Greece, and they have had my back this whole year. And like, I really wouldn't have made it this far in the program without them. Morgan's, she's in my cohort, but she's not on my team. So like, we have little teams in our MBA program. She's not on my team, but I mean, we are both struggling really hard right now with motivation and just getting through because we're almost done. And I really wouldn't have been able to, number one, have the year that I've had without her, or really just be in this program still with good grades without her. And like you said, the whole being removed from the team, I definitely felt that a little bit. I moved to a different apartment complex, so I wasn't living with the team anymore. I was living with a roommate who had just swam 4 years. She wasn't on the team anymore, and so I was living with her at a nicer place, and just definitely didn't feel like I was intertwined with the team at first. And then maybe that was why the first 6 weeks were so hard, because I felt like I was alone. But throughout the year, I mean, we became so close as a team, and yeah, I learned a lot from the freshmen, and I hope I taught them a lot too.
Yeah, for sure.
It's definitely a different challenge doing grad school as a student athlete. I mean, grad programs aren't exactly grad professors. Some of them are the same as teach undergrad classes, but I can imagine it's not quite the same level of flexibility and accommodation for student athletes in grad school. Were you had you already planned on doing an MBA, or was this kind of a bonus? Like, okay, I'm going to do a 5th year, so why not get a degree while I'm at it?
That was it. It was like, all right, I need to be in school for eligibility reasons, and I had already graduated. I had got my bachelor's degree in exercise science, so I needed to go to grad school, but I realized that exercise science, like going to grad school in that area, wasn't for me. I didn't want to be a physical therapist, or it was just a really narrow
No
space.
offense, John. No
No
offense.
offense. No offense. You do you. No offense, but that was just like not something I wanted to do. And I thought about coaching. So I was like, yeah, that helps. And I really just did exercise science because I was interested in the body. Anatomy was my favorite subject in high school. I was interested in movements and all that stuff. But as I progressed, I was like, all right, I don't really think this is for me professionally. And so getting an MBA is a lot more broad. And I'm interested in the business side of things. And whether it's swimming related or not, my parents are business owners, and that was just something that interested me, and it gave me more opportunities moving forward. And the professors have been great. The way that my program works is every 5 weeks I get new classes, so I have 3 weeks for 5 classes, and then I move on. So I basically have, each class is different, but I'll have, like, let's say 4 lectures and a final, and then I move on to new classes. So it's like you have to pick up this stuff really quickly. I've never studied this hard in my life. Especially, I didn't have any background, but people in my class have gotten their master or gotten their undergrads in business or have worked in business for 40 years. Like, these people are from all over the place. And coming out of college with exercise science, like, I really had to bust my butt to stay on top of it. And it's tough. Like, even tonight, I start a new class. I took a bunch of my finals already, and so I've missed a lot of school for meets, and they have done nothing but help me, and they support our student athletes so much. And yeah, I'm really grateful for the professors.
Now, I'll move past the low blow on the physical therapy front. No offense to the
I'm
name,
sorry.
but you mentioned one thing, that you hope that you taught some of the freshmen and the underclassmen a few things, being a 5th year and being around the program. Now, you're more intertwined with the Louisville program, obviously, or I'd assume so, with your dad being the head coach. And Louisville's really risen since he took over. I think it was around 2003. So I'd love for you to maybe touch on the tradition and what you are hoping to instill and continue to improve within the Louisville program.
Yeah, I've had a really weird and bizarre, unusual, whatever you want to call it, recruitment.
Yeah, is that even legal? I mean, how does that even work, right?
I don't even know how to explain it. Like, when people talk about their recruiting process, like, it's just not how mine went. And
Dinner table.
You're going to Louisville.
well, it wasn't that. Like, I'm gonna say this, I don't know, take it however you will, but my dream school when I was little was Michigan. Like, that was my thing. I wanted to go to Michigan, and he was always supportive of that. Louisville wasn't on the scale that we are now, and
yeah,
he would support me wherever I would have gone. But I had this front row seat that not a lot of people had, to watch a program go from nothing into this standard being top 5, top 10. And that was something that I wanted to be a part of. And I got to watch athletes develop. Talk about Carlos Almeida, Joao DeLuca, our first national champions. And then you have Kelsey, Dahlia, and Mallory. Like, these were people that I looked up to, and I wanted to be like them. And Arthur was clearly doing something special with this program. And I was like, dang, I have to be in this. Like, I'm meant to be here. This is also my home. The city is my family, and I love representing them. So it was a no-brainer for me. But a big decision that I made for the 5th year was because I wanted to have that impact on the freshmen. And I knew that this class was going to be pretty big. When I came in as a freshman, we were losing this huge senior class. And I remember hearing every day, like, oh, the super senior class, like, they hyped them up pretty big. Like, we had big shoes to fill. And I wanted to sort of teach the freshmen and the sophomores, like, the ropes, and show them, like, we're not a flashy school. You don't have to be this big recruit that comes in here. You don't have to be fast and whatever. And you can develop and you can be a national champion if you want to be. You can make an Olympic team if you want. Like, people have done it. People are living proof of it, and I feel like I am living proof of that. I wasn't super flashy in high school. I think I was a top 10 recruit based on college swimming, but you look at Mallory and Kelsey, like, these people are nowhere to be found, and that's something that Louisville does so well, is they develop people into champions, and that was something I wanted to be living proof of, and also have an impact on the freshmen. And I knew we were getting some pretty cool studs like Murilo Sartori, Olympian for Brazil. Like, I wanted to teach him and I wanted to be there for him. Just like, I had Zach Harding when I was a underclassman, and he sort of taught me the ropes, and I just wanted to have an impact, and I didn't think I was ready to be done if I had another opportunity.
Interesting fact. My nephew is choosing schools right now as a swimmer. So we were at Columbia University last week, and we were on deck speaking to the coach. And I asked the coach, do you have any fifth years next year? Because I would love my nephew to be around fifth years, because I learned so much from that. Oh, no, we don't do fifth years. Apparently, Ivy League frowns on fifth years eligibility. So that was a shame. They like to focus on the school and not think you're there to swim, you're there to go to school. So don't make a choice to be a fifth year to swim. Make sure the choice is for schooling, and it's very interesting. But yeah, it's a big value. As a freshman, you want people to have those fifth years to help you. And he said, well, that's what I'm there for. Okay.
Definitely. And I think that if some of the seniors that graduated when I left, if they could have stuck around for another year, I would have loved that as a freshman to learn from them. And it was a huge class, a really successful class. I mean, they really fought, and my brother was actually a part of that class. And now my sister's on the team too as a sophomore. And so, yeah, I'm happy I stayed around, and however it went, it is what it is.
Albiero.
Hey, so, well, on the whatever day that coaches can first contact recruits as juniors or whatever, did your dad like call you on your cell phone, or did he try to stay out of the way and hand it off to the rest of the assistant coaches?
Yeah, I think he sort of was hands off at that point. I just remember getting a lot of emails. Like, I don't know what the rules were back then, because they're a lot different now, but I think I got like over 200 emails, and I was just clicking through them like, oh, these people want me. And it was very generic. Like, they send them to everybody. So it was like nothing special, but I was like, oh, I have all these schools to pick from. And then, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, where do I actually want to go? And he didn't really have to convince me. I think the years of his hard work and the progression that I saw was reason enough for me to want to go there. And I don't know, staying home and being close to my family was important for me too.
Yeah, one thing, like I mentioned, I mean, Arthur and everyone, all the coaches, all the team has really made Louisville a powerhouse here in swimming, and you even mentioned that as well. And now we're starting to see kind of a pro group around that program, and we see that often with these great college programs that aren't just improving then falling off, right? That are being a staple and steady tier at the top. Do you guys talk about what you hope to do with maybe a pro group there, and how that may influence the college team?
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm not sure exactly who's going to be where and when.
Yeah.
As far as like the people who are currently on the pro group, but I think there are a few of us who are going to stick around, and I think it helps not only the pro group, but we do get to have that impact still on the college team, and they push us just as much as we push them, and it definitely helps the team environment. The culture is what I loved most about this team before I even got here. It's what I wanted to be a part of, and so to feed off each other. And I don't know who's going to come and where people are going to end up, but I think being in a pro group is like a dream. So working with people who, have experience and have goals, like a determined group of individuals who actually want to be there, like that's the kind of environment I want to be in.
You ever consider swimming for Brazil? I mean, the top 200 flyer is like a 156 guy, right now. Do you ever consider swimming for them?
There's definitely, there's like a Brazilian flag right here.
Yeah.
I have a lot of pride for Brazil. My family, they're the nicest people ever. And I've been to Brazil a few times, but I would. I think it's a little different. I don't know the rules exactly. I represented the United States in 2017 for Junior Worlds, and I think the criteria for me to represent Brazil is I have to live there for a year. I do have dual citizenship, so that's something that my family and I have talked about. I've thought about. My Brazilian teammates have thought about too. And I don't know if that's something I could fully invest in a year and like throw myself into the culture. And I don't know any Portuguese. Unfortunately, my dad didn't teach us growing up, which we still give him crap for. But I would love to learn Portuguese. I know, and that's like a bucket list of mine on my bucket list to be able to speak to my family, which they speak English. A lot of them do, but I definitely thought about it. I'm not sure how that works if I have to live here for a year or what, but I would love to represent the U.S. and represent Brazil. They're both a part of me, and either way.
Brian, you gonna say something?
All right, I gotta ask you about. We don't
want to step on each other's toes. That's why.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. No, the Brazil thing is interesting because I have I have a number of friends who had the opportunity, and it's you make the U.S. team almost short medal, it feels like, but it's so much harder to do it. But it's the Brazil team, you can become an Olympian. So it's like it's a real deep discovery of swimming for the country, I guess you would take most pride in. And I don't know, I can feel your desire, your mutual, but you should try it. I mean, 156 is what Gonch is doing now. I don't know. The A cuts just got released. What's the A cuts? They just got released like 3 days ago. Did you see that?
155.7, I think.
Yeah. So
Luke, do you work for Brazil? Jeez, this sounds like a recruitment pitch here.
No, now I am.
He's going to U.S. World Champ trials soon.
Yes, so I know.
Transition back to that. Okay, you got a handful of events there. You've been talking about kind of your goal list, and it sounds like goal setting and bucket list are things you think about. Well, what are you hoping to accomplish here, and what are some of your goals moving into the meet next week?
Yeah, a huge goal of mine, and I think it will be for a while, is just to enjoy it, like have fun. I'm so done with putting pressure on myself that I'm just happy to be here. Like it is what it is, and I wouldn't be here without the people who have helped me. And so obviously I want to perform and do well for the people who have helped me get here and for myself as well. But I try not to put so much pressure and just be light and have fun. And I think the fast swimmers are the happy swimmers. And I'm so done with putting pressure on myself. I really am. And it makes me enjoy the sport more when I'm just here and having fun.
Do you love the 200 fly? Like, is 200 fly something you just love it? That's your baby. It's something like, I can't wait to do another 200 fly. And you do that at a pool party. Like, let's do 200 fly for fun. Is that your thing? Seriously, I love the 200 fly.
Are we getting back to the pickup swims conversation where we're talking how you just don't like pickup swims at like 24-hour fitness like you do with pickup basketball?
No, but seriously, is this something you enjoy? I love the 100 free. I mean, 50 free is cool, but 100 free is my event. What's your one that, I just enjoy this thing?
I honestly wish it was the 50 free, but I don't like that event at all.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to finish, and I'm not even tired, and I just gave it everything I had, and then I get to the wall and I'm not even breathing hard. It's like, okay, that was just stuff. And I don't even go that fast. So I'm like, all right. I don't know if maybe short course, I think it's not really a love thing. It's more of just a confidence thing. I get behind the blocks for a 2-fly short course, and I'm not worried about not finishing it. Whereas like last summer, I get behind the blocks for a 2-fly at Olympic trials, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to finish this. Like, I don't know if I love it. I think that just sort of depends on how it goes, I guess. Like if it's a good race and I'm like, oh yeah, that was fun, I love that. But then if it's like painful, I'm like, oh, I hate that. Like, I'm never going to do that again. So I don't know if love is the right word. I think it depends on confidence level, and then I guess how it feels, because I do dabble in other strokes. I swim some backstroke, and I'm on some freestyle relays, so I do get to sort of test them all and see which one's my favorite. I guess I would say relays are for sure my favorite, but I don't know. That's an interesting question.
Because the 2 flies is one of those races that you could have fun racing against somebody. Like you have time to manipulate. You can see them off the turns. You can go, oh yeah, he's going for it. Okay, it's all right. I'll get you. Like you can be strategic and you can see. So that's what I mean. If you're a competitor, you like to race, that's the one race you can see
Says the person that's done no 200 flies in his life.
I don't know. Yeah, that's an interesting take. I would say freestyle, you do breathe to other people. So that one's kind of fun. Fly, I guess you really only see them on the turn, because when I don't like to look around. I just like to stay in my lane. So I will see people on the turns, but honestly, sometimes I just black out during the race and I just do whatever I'm trained to do, and then how it goes is how it goes.
Don't let Luke encourage you that you got to look at other people while you're swimming the turn.
I didn't say that.
He likes to see those other people going 35 in the 50 free. So you mentioned obviously 200 fly. Luke's going on it, so I'm going to continue with the 200 fly talk. So you're one of the best yard swimmers ever. What are some things long course that you're hoping to continue to improve to keep improving your 200 fly long course?
Yeah, I think definitely building the confidence. Like I just said, I have a lot of confidence with short course, and I think that just comes with my training. And I haven't been able to get to that point yet, long course. So I think once I'm turning pro and I get to do more long course training, I think that will sort of come naturally. But right now, I want them to be on the same level, and that's hard to do it because I do see them as different sports. But a short course to fly conversion, I don't know what that's going to be, but I'm sure it's pretty quick. I would love to be at that level, and I hope that I can be as good as in short course as I can be in long course.
The night that Coleman Stewart stopped being an NCAA athlete, he got a call from Jason Lezak and got recruited by the Cali Condors. You consider the ISL at all? You want to look forward to this?
Yeah, for sure. I was almost debating taking the 5th year early on, because ISL short course, that's something that I love, and I think that opportunity is so cool for pro athletes, and that's definitely something moving forward that I would love to do. And I'm sad that there is no season this year, but that's okay. It gives me some time to sort of recover and sort of make a new plan for the next couple of years. But definitely want to be in the ISL. Kelsey and Zach and Mal have all been in it, and they've shared with me some of their stories and experiences, and I definitely think that's something I want to do before I'm done swimming.
So talking about, ISL, doing all that, are you committed through the next, 4 years, the next Olympics, or what? Have you started looking at kind of timelines and things like that?
Yeah, I have a little bit. I think I will once this summer kind of ends, but definitely I think until 24 is what I'm going to say now. I don't want to say 28, because that's so long from now, and my mental game, it's pretty strong, but that's a lot. And I think after the 24, I'll reassess and see where I'm at, because there are opportunities that I'll get once I'm done with my MBA that I want to pursue professionally. So I know swimming comes to an end at some point, but I definitely want to be able to continue and see, and then once I'm not having fun or I'm not enjoying it enough, then it'll be time.
Sure. And obviously, after the college career, a lot of times athletes may transition to different pro groups or even different coaches. And ISL provides that a little bit just by, depending on how their season looks, by working with different coaches. Have you thought about changing training programs or locations or things like that after your career here at Louisville?
Yeah, I have a little bit. I don't know if I could fully commit to a different pro group and sort of move there. And I think I could sort of see myself traveling and seeing different pro groups. I think for me, training outside would be pretty awesome. So I could see myself maybe moving to a pro group who swims outside. But we're also hopefully looking into getting an outdoor pool here at Louisville. So that would keep me here for sure. But I think I've done so well with the training program that Arthur has sort of set up for me and that I've done all my life. So I think I would have a hard time sort of switching to a new program. I don't know. I think change is good, but also I struggle with that one a little bit because there are other factors that play into switching pro groups.
Yeah, I can only imagine, especially with, your father being your coach and things like that. And obviously he's going to want what's best for you, as you even mentioned back when you were looking at Michigan and things like that. But when every athlete, and especially all of us, we've all been on teams for a while. If plateaus happen or things like that, you start to wonder, especially when you've been with a program for a while, you feel like you may need some change.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we're seeing that now, especially with new coaching. One of our coaches just got accepted for Notre Dame.
Right?
That's right. And Chris was my coach and on my club team. He coached me since I was in middle school. So I'm excited for him. But we're seeing sort of that change now and it's exciting too. I think right now is a perfect time for a change in the program. And yeah, I do think change is good, but I don't know. As far as switching programs, that's so hard for me. There's so many other things that affect that decision.
Hey Nick, you came. You came fourth at trials. Unbelievable. What are you going to take from that next week?
Yeah, I remember that race. Well, I was very nervous for that race. Probably more nervous I've ever been. And I remember I sort of forgot when I was racing. I sort of forgot what I was doing, and I turned at the 100 and I was like, oh my gosh, this is for the Olympics. You got to go. And then I don't remember the rest, but I just remember thinking, all right, you don't get third. Don't get third.
Yeah.
Don't get third by 100th. That would be the worst. Don't get third. So I looked at the board and I saw 4 and I'm like, okay, it's not third. I'm a little disappointed, but it's not third. And then I saw that Zach made it, and then I immediately switched to him and congratulating him because that's freaking awesome. And
yeah,
I just don't want to be third next week. But like I said, no pressure. So I'm just happy to be here, and I hope that I can sort of figure out a strategy that works for me in that race because I haven't done it a whole lot recently. So it's interesting with the college season. I'm interested to see how some of the college stars do next week, just because the season. But don't get there.
Have you reflected on some of the psychology of that? If your subconscious said, don't get third, and you got 4th, is there any reflection for you in that, saying, wait a minute? It's interesting for me to hear you say, okay, don't get third again, because in my mind I go, well, that was maybe not the result and not the body response that was triggered last time around. So I don't know, any thoughts on how to reverse that? Obviously you want to go 3-2, 3-1, not 3-4.
Yeah, I actually just knocked on wood as I said that. My table is wood, so when I said that, I mean that. I don't know. Honestly, I try not to think a whole lot when it's time for that kind of stuff. When it's pressure's on, the lights are on. I just want to go and do my best. And even if it is third, awesome job, that's awesome. But yes, I do have goals, and making a team like that is a huge goal of mine. I don't know. That's interesting. I don't really think about it too much, I guess.
I know the differences. This show, Social Kick. You went on to Social Kick before trials. No, but true. It's all about this relaxing, having fun. We did have a number of guests who did well. Did they? Didn't we have guests who did well at trials? So no, man, your attitude. Just relax, go there and have fun. You're 5th year. You've done it. You've been the finals, the trials. This is worlds. You're on it, dude. You're a stud. People look up to Nick and go, "What the hell? There's Nick Albiero.
Yes.
I gotta watch out for you." And you laugh and say, "Yo, this is my race."
Yes, I'm inspired now.
Man, if only Luke could be there behind your lane, man, then you'd be.
Yeah.
I saw your dad crying. I saw your dad when your dad was watching your race. You should see him. He was just a little bit more animated because he cheats. A little bit more, and you have that power behind you. I can tell.
Yeah, my parents. Well, for one, my mom doesn't watch my races. She says that she does, but her eyes are closed the whole time, and when I start, she'll sort of do this thing where it's take your mark, and when it's go, she'll sort of flinch too, as if that will help me get off the blocks faster. And then if she is watching and she sees a turn, she will do like this with her body. So she'll be like watching me, and then she'll do like this as I'm turning. So if she is watching, she's working out herself. But most of the time she's not watching. And then my dad just whistles mostly, and Stephanie too. They just whistle.
It's like the Albiero voodoo game.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to take it a step further and I don't know, put some hustle in or take down some competitors. That's what you need to do.
Now we're kind of going down the mental state, and one thing you mentioned earlier was blacking out during a swim, and a lot of people would describe that as like flow state or Zen state. And I know as a swimmer, sometimes my best races are kind of like that. Is that something that you try to achieve, or anything you do to get you in that state?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I think whenever I'm working on race pace specifically, I do try to get into that state where I'm like not thinking a lot, and it's just sort of flowing with me. It's kind of hard to explain. To sort of replicate that feeling. But like when I say blackout, I mean like when I look back at a race, I don't remember every single thing. Mm-hmm. I can tell you like, oh, I remember I saw this person on that turn, but like that's it. I don't remember what I was thinking about. I don't remember what I was feeling. I just sort of am, in the flow state. And I do try to achieve that in the pool, and also like visualization is a huge thing for me too. And just to sort of prepare myself. And I know that's like a huge thing for everyone too, but I definitely try to emulate that before a race.
All right, Luke, you heard it. Not 10 beers and then do a 2 fly. We're not blacking out that way, okay?
Oh, we could do that too. We could black out, and I'm sure that would go really well for you.
That's for the pickup swims post career.
There you go.
Yes.
Hey, so I'm curious about, we talked a bit about ISL, and then you've been to 4 NCAAs in 5 years and, won a race at one of them. What do you think, having gone through that experience and, observed some of what the ISL is doing as they continue to innovate with each season? Hopefully that league continues to be funded. Obviously this year's a little wonky, but what do you think the NCAA can do to make the meet more exciting?
I know ISL puts on that whole light show and the DJ or whatever that is, and it definitely adds a different vibe as a person watching the meet. I think they could maybe work on that aspect for people who are watching at home, just to make it a little bit more interesting, because swim meets can be pretty boring. But at this high level meet, I mean, these parents are crazy at NCs and even at ACCs too. Like some of the parents of some teams, I'm not going to call out any teams, but they are wild. And no, I'm not going to do that. And so I don't know. I think for the viewers at home watching, to make it more fun, I think that's a big one.
DJ.
Yeah, like a DJ. I don't know. To be honest, when I'm at NCs, I'm pretty much swimming nonstop, unless I have like a session off, which is rare. But I'm mostly like, especially this past meet, I was double, and then I had a day off, and then I was a double and a triple and a single and a double. So I just was mostly swimming. Like there was not much like watching.
You mentioned some of the other teams and ACCs being, a pretty rowdy environment too. And obviously this year it was literally the same pool, ACCs being at Tech. I'm curious about kind of the shifting landscape, because the ACC has really taken off in recent years.
Yeah.
I think it probably started with Louisville, and then NC State had a big progression. Mm-hmm. And then, now we've seen the Virginia women and now the Virginia men come on, and then Sergio taking the Virginia Tech crew up. And I'm sure there's other teams that I'm forgetting, but like, there's seems to be more parity and maybe a healthier spread of strong teams where, when you show up to the NCAA meet, it may not be quite as predictable as, you know, maybe the top 10 or even top 5 has been historically. I mean, obviously Cal and Texas are still, you know, it's kind of like a pick 'em between those two for a lot of years. But I'm just curious, like, what do you think? Do you think it's good for college swimming to have a more even distribution? And do you think that there's any sort of magic and that's happening amongst the coaches in the ACC that's really led to this development of strength within the ACC?
Yeah, that's a good question. I am blown away by how fast our conference has gotten. And I'm happy and proud to say that my team is a part of that movement. And me specifically, I take so much pride in that. And I think the ACC has grown almost to the point where, like, I wasn't even nervous for NCs. It's like the amount of fast people and like the talent that was at that meet. It's like, okay, you add a few more people in, and that's the NCAA. Like, we are up there, we're fighting with the best of the best, these teams. And I don't know if it's necessarily fair, you know, for other teams who are in conferences who basically just blow away their conference and they don't even have to taper, and they just get to save all their taper for one meet. Whereas like all of us in the ACC probably rested a little bit more and then had to go back up, like I said, and then come back down. And I don't know, I haven't really thought about that too much, but yeah, I don't know. I that's an interesting take on that.
Well, what is the emphasis then on, you know, winning conference? Is that, I mean, you were really fast, like we talked about in the triple taper, like you were really fast at ACCs, and I'm sure, and a lot of people were. So, what sort of emphasis? There's a lot of teams too that, you know, they may taper some for conference, but they still know that the A goal is winning NCAAs, and yet for some it may be like a conference title would really do a lot for recruiting. So, what do you guys focus on?
Yeah, I think we have been able to focus on both. And you know, last year we won ACCs and then we were 5th at NCs. And I think that was sort of the history that we've done, is like, yeah, we go to ACCs and we race and we compete to the best of our ability, and then we can elevate at NCAAs, and we can repeat, and we can get faster, and we can get a little bit better here and there. We can drop a 10th and move up spots. Like, we have been able to do that. So I don't know. We put a lot of emphasis on, yes, we want to bring home a title, but at the end of the day, it's like our main goal for a few years was like to get the trophy, to bring home a top 4 trophy. And unfortunately, we didn't get to do that in my time here, but I don't think that that's out of the picture for years to come. I think this team is only going to get better. We're a pretty young team. So I don't know. I think we set goals for ACCs and NCAAs, but we do know, okay, getting a trophy is better and more important than winning an ACC title.
Why does 4th place get a trophy anyway?
That's a good question. I really wish it was top 5.
My speculation on this is that for it to compare with tournament sports that end up with the Final Four, that they give away a 4th place trophy. But I've always thought that was the weirdest thing at NCAAs, that there's a 4th place team that gets a trophy. Like, we don't think about, like, what color medal is that?
Yeah. Is it just bronze? Is it just 2 bronze?
Double bronze? Half bronze?
Is iron in one?
Platinum? In summer league swimming, it was platinum was the level below bronze. I don't know. All of our like divisions were medal colors.
I feel like platinum would be better than gold, right?
I agree. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, depending on who you ask, I don't know.
Like diamond, gold, silver. Like, if you think about Minecraft, like,
yeah, exactly.
diamond is like the hardest one to find.
I want to ask a selfish question, but hopefully it's helpful. And I know you've been asked it many times. I've got 2 kids. I swam. My wife swam. My 2 kids go into swimming. I find it really hard to coach them. I coach my daughter how to swim, but my son and I, it's really hard. Chris was your high school coach, right? Chris Linder. At what point, both your parents swam, all Americans. Talk to those swimmers who have parents who swam, or vice versa. We had Gustavo and Gus Borges on, and we talked about a father-son relationship, and we went more of the like, oh my God, the legend Gustavo living up to his promise, right? But let's talk about now getting into swimming and the pressures and parents being swimmers and your mom being so invested. Talk about that growing up as a child of college, really well-known college swimmers, and then now, very remarkable coaches, and pressures, and like, did you stop swimming because of pressure, or was it chilled? Were you on your own? Describe it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I was waiting for a question about that.
I know.
I think I've decided, no, it's okay. I think I've decided, like, I'm either going to write a book or I'm going to do a documentary. And that's what I'm going to show, because that is the question. That is the golden question people ask me every time. No, and it's okay. It's like, I would be interested too, and I honestly think my answer changes every time. It just depends on how we're doing at the moment. But growing up, we weren't forced into swimming, and I don't want people to think that me and my siblings were forced to swim just because we swam for my dad at this college. Like, we had free reign to try sports. I played baseball for my church. I played basketball for my church. I dabbled in soccer. I dove for a while. Like, I was very well versed. I just knew that I wasn't good at any other sport besides swimming. And so when I, decided, when my mom created a club team and founded that, I was one of the first swimmers to swim on that team. And I don't know what, that was just a dream of hers to have a club team, and then to ironically have that club team be like the college team, like they kind of coexist together. It's a very interesting dynamic. And I think, we weren't forced to do anything. And my siblings and I, we swim because we love to do it. And we were first put into swimming for obviously water safety. And yes, my parents were very good swimmers. My dad barely missed the Olympics for Brazil. My mom was a D2 swimmer of the year. She has like a million All-American, whatever. And they were great swimmers, but I was never forced into swimming. I was never forced into going to college here. That was just something that I chose. And I don't know, growing up in a swimming family, that's why I say I want to do a documentary or a book, because it is very challenging. You want to try to differentiate when you're swimming and when you're at home. And a lot of the times growing up, that wasn't the case. We would get home from a practice and then we would be like, okay, well, why? Let's talk about the practice. Like, no, like, let's talk about something else. And my siblings and I, we really struggle with that, I think, growing up. And I give all the credit to my parents, like they are the best parents ever, but that it was a thing where swimming became a topic at dinner, it became a topic at different holidays, a Christmas dinner. Like, we would start talking about swimming and it would be this whole heated thing. And even still to this day, like, sometimes it's really hard to go home and not talk about swimming. And seeing my brother on the other side of swimming, and he has a different perspective than my sister does, who is a little bit younger than me. And at the end of the day, like, swimming is my parents' passion. It's my family's passion, but it's not who we are. And I hope people know that it's like, we are other people besides swimming athletes and swim coaches. Like, we have lives. And I do really want to talk about growing up in a family that is not based, but like has a one sport as the focus. It's interesting, and it's very different, because both of my parents had parents who didn't know swimming, who didn't coach swimming, who weren't the best coaching in the world. Like, they had very different upbringings, and I think maybe that's why our upbringing was the way it was, is because they knew what it was like to not have that.
Where I come from the Caribbean. We say goat don't make sheep, and my kids just excel in swimming naturally, but they got into swimming, I think, to make me happy, and that was the wrong reason. And it was good to hear that you chose to swim because you love swimming, and it was your choice that you did it, and you did it because you loved swimming. And I think if you go back to those memories and those feelings next week, that's the secret.
Yeah,
that's what it's about, dude.
And I don't think that's how it is for my siblings. I feel like my brother was maybe the other way, where he didn't love it, but he did it, and he could walk on and go to college, and maybe he didn't love it. I don't know. And then my sister who loves it, I think so. And I don't know if I can tell you every single day growing up I loved swimming. I don't. that's impossible.
None of us did. Yeah.
No,
No.
very much the opposite. And when my mom would say, if I was feeling sick and I didn't want to go, she'd be like, all right, just stay home. And then I would feel guilty, not for my mom, for me. I'm like, well, I could probably swim. Like, it's fine. So then I would go. And then I would have a great practice. And then, if it was my sister, like, I don't want to go, then she would just stay home, like it was very different and it was individual based. My parents really never dragged us or, did anything like that. And we had all to say.
That's awesome.
And if I have any advice for you, are you their swim coaches or no?
No. I'm pushing him to do whatever they want to do. Right now, it's soccer and basketball. So just they're good. They're young.
I would say, okay, yes. I would say let them have all to say, because the second you try to, coach them, my parents always say, we always used to say, like, don't stop coaching us. Like, well, coaching is parenting. And then we'd get into a whole fight. But I would say just let them be in, hands off. Be hands off and let them choose what they want to do. And if they choose swimming, then they choose it. And if they don't, then they pursue something else. But either way, my parents say no matter what you pursue it with all your heart. And if your children want to pursue, a violin, because I used to play violin, and if they want to pursue that, like, make sure that they are pursuing it with all their heart. And that's how me and my siblings have sort of gone about life and swimming.
I think it's some of your mom's voodoo magic that they said, don't worry about swimming. And then in the, in the background, she's like, no, you're going to be swimmers.
I mean, I want to say that they deep down somewhere, they hoped that we would be swimmers.
Of course.
I don't know. I don't know if we necessarily wanted to be swimmers, but I mean, my sister and I have had so much success with the sport, and I think we do love it. And my brother had a different situation. He had to medically retire. So.
Oh dear.
Nick, we got a few rapid fire questions to finish off with.
All right.
What's the hardest race in swimming?
4 a.m.
Olympic gold, world record, or ISL MVP?
Wait, what were they?
Olympic gold, world record, or ISL MVP?
Oh, gosh. Olympic gold.
How many kicks off the wall in a 2 fly?
It depends on which 25 it is.
Do you pee in the pool?
Every day. Mostly 3 times a day.
That's very specific.
Well,
that counts.
I also struggle with drinking water during practice, but somehow I pee like so much. I'm like, I did not drink this much water. How am I peeing this much? But I will say I'm very courteous of where I go. I can't. Maybe it's because I have stage fright, but I cannot pee if there is somebody like next to me here. I will either push off the wall and pee like in the middle of the pool while everyone else is on the wall, or I'll be on the other side. I'll stop during a 200 if I have to. Like if it's like a 400 pull and I have to pee so bad, I will just stop and pee.
It's impossible to pee while you're swimming. It's so hard.
I can't pee while I swim because, well, okay, I have, but
it's hard.
You can't kick while you pee. So.
But the cyclists are cycling and they're peeing while they cycle, right, Brian?
You want to know something so weird? Every time, I never really did the 200 fly, but I did it in high school and then a couple times in college. And I swear to you, every time I did the 200 butterfly in a race, I peed in the pool. Had to.
Like
I don't know why.
During the race?
Yeah, during the race.
How did you do that?
I don't know. I just did it.
You should get that checked out.
Yes.
I know a doctor.
I don't have any advice for you there. I don't even know. I've never.
There's no other race though. That was it. It was just 200 fly. It was something weird. 200 fly. I think I was just pissed. I was like, I don't want to do this.
Oh my gosh.
All right, let's get back on track. Should South America have an ISL team?
Yes.
What city would you put it in?
Rio or Sao Paulo?
What was the most outstanding race for you to watch at NCAAs?
This year or in a year?
This year.
I didn't do a whole lot of watching, but I will say, oh man, they were all so close. um,
Or any year.
I don't even know. I honestly didn't watch a whole lot.
Did Lucas race surprise you? The 100 back?
Yes, that was very surprising. But he's talented. I wasn't surprised really. But I think my favorite race, my freshman year, I got to watch Dressel go 17-6 or whatever. That's I can't think of anything else. So that was awesome.
I agree. Actually, I think that's the best race I've ever seen in NCAA's. Even I wasn't there live. Okay, what's your go-to trick off a diving board?
I can do a gainer, so like jump forward and then roll backwards and do like
yeah. What's the most memorable swim of your swimming career?
probably at ACCs this year or last year NCAAs.
And for those who are listening, second fastest 200 fly of all time, 1:37.9. Last year NCAA champion. Last year, 2 years ago, NCAA champion. Like, that's awesome too.
Yeah, and also winning our first relay title. I'll never forget that.
That's a 4x2.
2 medley.
2 medley, dude. Yeah.
Wow. What's your favorite Kentucky Derby tradition?
Oh, I was gonna say betting.
You can?
I can bet. I can bet on that.
What's the most amount of money you've ever put down on a horse in the Kentucky Derby?
Okay, not that much. I would just do like, I'm basic, and I would just do like $2 to get top 3. Like, or I would make these like random like superfectas where you get to pick the top 4 and then you box it so like they can come in any order, and then I would just put like $1, so that would be like $4 or whatever.
What do you think of people that say Louisville?
Louisville? I think they don't know how real people say it, and it's Louisville. I've heard Louisville, I've heard Louisville, I've heard everything. We just say Louisville, and people make fun of us because it's like Louisville, like it's very deep, like Louisville. But if people say Louisville, like that's fine too. Whatever.
I just get a kick out of anybody associated with Louisville saying how to say Louisville.
Louisville.
I've known people that were from there, not went to school there, people that coached there. It's always funny. All right, so we all do social kick like this, and we do social kick in the pool, like freestyle kick. But you spend so much time underwater, so do you do social kick underwater?
No, but we have this thing where I don't know who made it up, but we were doing it the other day, I think last week, where we play rock paper scissors underwater, and if you win, you get to go up and breathe, and then you come back down. So I think it was like Zach Harding. Of course, it was him. Like he's just so all over the place, and he was doing it with one of our other teammates, and I was like, "What's happening?" So then I went underwater with them, and we were just doing like between 3 people, rock paper scissors, and then if you win, you got to breathe.
All right, let's do it now. Everybody hold their breath. Ready? Hold your breath. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh, Nick and I can breathe.
Yeah. What was that?
Yeah. What was that?
You can put it.
Oh, I don't know.
First of all, USA Swimming does not condone breath holding tactics like that due to the risk of shallow water blackouts. We'll just put some little stamp of that on here somewhere. Okay. When the kid who, doesn't win 10 games straight. Is that paper still? Gee, you don't have to do it with your whole body.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I think that's a good place to end it. Nick, go. Don't be doing that in the pool next week unless it's time limited.
Oh, I'm sure Zach and I will find a way to do it.
Nice, man. Well, hey, we had fun chatting with you, and we'll look forward to watching you race fast next week for sure. So best of luck to you, man. And yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thank you guys for having me. This was so much fun.
Right on. All right. Well, that's it for this episode of Social Kick Podcast, and crew, we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you're enjoying Social Kick, tell your friends about it. And be sure to tell us what you liked by leaving a comment and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Social Kick. and you can find all of our content on our website,